Hi, welcome to what is hopefully going to be the first in a long series of critical or analytical or just basic discussion videos about stuff that's happening in a current affairs sort of situation. I always thought my first YouTube video would be me getting hit in the nuts or being attacked by a jumping cat. But as we all know, life doesn't go out the way you want it to. The reason why I wanted to do this video was to show some sort of solidarity to a movement which I believe is doing a good thing, and good thing is with capitals at the start. On Friday there was a demonstration to show support for Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks movement on the steps of the State Library in Victoria. I was unable to go. The reason I wanted to be involved in this is because I believe that WikiLeaks, despite being incredibly reckless and dangerous in what they're doing, are doing something which has to happen. I was led to a video that Keith Olbermann did, a special comment Keith Olbermann did a couple of weeks ago, talking about bias, balance and objectivism in news. When Walter Cronkite, the US journalist, passed away last year, he was rightly praised for being an entirely two-sided man. Objectivism seemed to be his mantra, but the two clips that they keep playing, as Mr. Olbermann keeps pointing out, were not objective film clips, were not objective stories. One of them was his piece from the battlefields of Vietnam, saying that the US should retreat and negotiate withdrawal, not as victors, but as people who try to defend freedom and live up to that promise. The second one was a almost 15-minute expose of the Watergate scandal, which hurt the Nixon administration a great deal. These weren't objective. These were the truth, not facts. And there's a big difference from where I'm sitting. Jay Rosen, in his Press Think blog, and I strongly advise you to check it out, I'll link it below, pressthink.org, did a 14-minute video about WikiLeaks a couple of weeks ago, in which he basically late night wrestled over a glass of fine-looking liqueur about WikiLeaks' relevancy and whether or not it's a good or bad thing. And then at one point said you have to trace a story between what the media did after September 11, and that goes all the way to Julian Assange. What one needs to understand when talking about WikiLeaks is that the media's job has been compromised. The reason why so many US diplomats and US politicians and US journalists are calling for Mr. Assange to be tried as a terrorist or killed, and this is from people who should know better, killed, out in the open, that's not a positive thing. Back on story. The reason why they're doing such a huge overturn, starting to shout at him, isn't because of what he's releasing. He's been releasing this sort of stuff, WikiLeaks has been releasing this sort of stuff, rather, for a fairly long time. The real problem here is that he's releasing stuff that they should be releasing first. And people are paying attention. Rosen points out in his video that WikiLeaks is a stateless organisation. They don't apply to the rules of any one country. They don't have to apply to the rules of any one country. If you have information that you wish for them to upload or release, you send it to them. They encrypt for you where it came from and your identity, and then they release it, safe in the knowledge that you will not be seen and you will not ever be shown to be the person who gave them this information. The WikiLeaks organisation in itself does nothing wrong. It has not illegally acquired any of this stuff. The people who do, the whistleblowers who do, have gone through an extremely arduous process beforehand, one would assume, in whether or not they should release this sort of information. And back onto these words I said that facts and truth are different. Facts are the truth, in the same way that a movie script is the movie. Depending on what angle and what part of the script you read, the entire movie will change accordingly. The same goes for facts. And unfortunately, for my lifetime at least, most of the industrialized world, the Western world, there's always been two sets of facts. There's never been one set of facts that can be unequivocally, unquestionably believed. Not in a totalitarian sense, but purely from a journalistic standpoint. The source is undisputable. There is no way known that you can take these stories, that you can take these facts and twist them any other way. And that's what's happened. For the first time in my life, we're seeing one set of facts that weren't supposed to be released, but were released anyway to the general public, and everybody's kicking up a fuss. Everybody's kicking up a fuss, and there's a huge and the backlash is staggering. Again, staggering. Mr. Assange is being held, as we know, in England on alleged rape charges, which incidentally have been dropped once before. I may or may not be right in saying this, and if I am wrong, please comment below. The other thing one realises when looking at this in any real societal context is our press media reported in 2001 blindly from the Howard government in Australia that immigrants trying to make their way into this country, that refugees trying to make their way into this country were throwing their children over the sides of boats. Fast forward to 1 year later, and the Bush administration in the US were using one leaked story to one newspaper to justify invading a country believed to have weapons of mass destruction, but of course turns out they did not. Facts didn't lead us into an illegal war. Facts did not tell us that these people were throwing their children over the sides of boats. Rather, the opposite. A lack of investigating facts did this. I won't pretend that I have any qualifications in journalism. I won't pretend that I have any reason to start saying what I think and have people just listen to me. I won't even pretend that what I'm saying matters. I'm a drop in an ocean that is hundreds of people on webcams discussing their opinions over and over again. But for what it's worth, I think what WikiLeaks is doing had to happen, and I'm glad it happened. If you're going to fail in your job, somebody else will come in and take over your job, whether or not they are exactly the right person for the job. And the press in our society have failed time and time again. So WikiLeaks has had to step in and do their job. Now, if they decide to step up to the plate and start to do journalism, again, not just parroting facts, but actual journalism, that would be lovely, that would be great. But I can't see it happening anytime soon. I'm going to finish off with a quote. I'm going to finish off by pretty much parroting what Jay Rosen said about WikiLeaks on his video. But it is true, and I do strongly recommend you go see the video if you want to have any more information on this. And it's thus. WikiLeaks is a stateless organisation. They do not have an obligation to any outside influences. They don't have sponsors. They don't have political leanings. They only have one objective, and that is to release the information that they are given. Incidentally, the information that they've been given in relation to these diplomatic cables is not being released recklessly. Okay. And how do I put this? Every single one of these cables that has been leaked so far, about 1,900 at last count out of a possible 250,000. Every single one of these cables the press had access to beforehand. Whether or not they chose to release these is a completely different story. But the press had the availability to these cables before they were leaked. So the stink is pretty much about nothing. Again, I don't think that Julian Assange has done the right thing with this organisation. I don't think this organisation is exactly classy. Well, no, that's not the right word. I don't think that this organisation is particularly tactful, but then there are some things that do not need tact and do not require tact. Well, this is the first. I apologise for the awkward, stilted way that I talk, the aversion to the camera lens, the fact that the camera shifted at one point. If you have any queries or thoughts on what I've said, please, again, YouTube below, not YouTube, comment below. I'll link to the J. Rosen video in the comments section, in the details of the video. If you have anything that you want me to comment on, considering that you probably don't know who I am, then go to the channel and just leave a comment in the comment section. I'm SB Cantwell, Melbourne's indie darling, and you've been an audience. Thank you very much.